Welcome to Industrial Amputation, where you may always expect the unexpected. Today, Joey, Levi, and I are very happy to have with us all the way from Coventry and the experimental post-punk acts of the early 1980s, alongside Throbbing Gristle, Coil, legendary Pink Dots, Eisters and the Neubauten, and In the Nursery, the amazing mind behind Attrition, Mr. Martin Bose. Martin, I want to personally thank you for many, many hours lost on the dance floor. I welcome you to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And I'd
Thanks.
say good evening, which is good
It,
evening here.
it is good evening for you. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that's right. Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
So I guess we'll kick this off with the fanzine, Alternative Sounds. You were putting out and documenting Coventry's part in a changing musical landscape, mostly ska, punk, new wave, some experimental, yeah. 79
Yeah.
to 81-ish. What does young Martin see and hear that pushes the desire to create a DIY zine?
It was punk. It was hearing first the Sex Pistols and everybody, all the Clash and all the punk acts, and everyone came to Coventry in those days, and I went to see them in 77. I think the first band I saw was the Stranglers in 1977, and
Oh,
but I was at art college. I wasn't a musician. I still aren't. I'm still not really. But so I thought I wanted to get involved, and fanzines was a thing as well, in the day. And I thought, yeah, there was nothing in Coventry, so I just started writing one with got some friends helped out. And, so that was 1979, early 79. I started that. And I did that for 2 years. I did 18 issues, actually, almost one a month, and did that. But it was actually helped because there was a band in Coventry that got very big, and that was the Specials.
yeah.
Yes.
Turnover, and they were great, and so I'd interviewed them and things like that when I started out. And Coventry got quite on the map, all the journalists were coming here.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. It was good. Now I sort of got to learn a bit about the music, how the music industry works, and then I thought, now I'm ready to start some sort of band. But by then I'd got influenced by post-punk, really. So it was
Yeah.
like Cabaret Voltaire and Magazine and Joy Division.
Yeah.
Wire I liked a lot. There's loads, so many bands then. It was
Yeah, you were kind of setting us in a perfect spot for that. I mean, that was right on a cusp of a changing scene, and
yeah, it was amazing
you're
actually.
right smack in the fucking middle of it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So it was. So then I just thought I thought I can't do. I tried to learn guitar, but I'd ended up playing it with a brick through a tape. So I thought maybe to get a synth that might be better. We just experimented, but we did get drums and the guitar. First gigs were we got an actual band. We thought we needed a band then,
Yeah.
and so we had drums and bass and guitar. But so we did, and then, as I did that, the first Attrition gig was December 1980.
Yeah.
So the fanzine just kind of like died really because I'd done what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
you're at
did.
this point, you're playing with Coil, aren't you?
We did in 1983. We did our first show in London, and Coil opened for us. So, but it was just John Balance then. He was
Yeah.
on his own. So
Yeah.
it was in Hackney into some railway arches. I keep meaning to go back there and get a photo because
Oh,
I'm
that'd
on
be awesome,
the
man.
area. It wasn't a regular club, it was just
Yeah.
a place. But yeah, and we were on those lots of compilation cassettes and
Mhm.
vinyl, and they were on as well. It was just part of the scene, really. I didn't know
Yeah.
them really, but we just crossed paths a little bit.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Any notable meetups or in the streets and clubs at the time? Any
I mean,
little
it was
collabs or jams you got to be a part of or witness?
because we were in Coventry. We were a bit away from that sort of more experimental scene, which was much more in London and also even in other countries.
Yeah.
But we started because there was started to be articles in the press about this new sort of. I didn't really have a name then, you know. I guess industrial would be the nearest, but it was just people doing new stuff after inspired by punk, really. And I got to know Ed from the legendary Pink Dots, and so I met him, and we toured with them in '84, which was when our first album came out. We toured in Holland and Switzerland, and that's when we thought, right, we're just going to move to London. So we all just left Coventry and moved to London, and then we met people there a bit, and because we were in London, I think, because people had come and visit. I remember Kevin from Bauhaus, the drummer, would come and see us, and I remember meeting Dave Tibet in the street once. It was just things are, it was just happening. But actually, we got more things happening in mainland Europe, in Germany and Holland and those countries. It was very underground in the UK. But yeah, it was exciting, and that's when our first albums came out through Rough Trade and on my friend Gary Levermore's label Third Mind. We did all our early albums. But yeah, it was hard to actually. We play gigs and people would go because after the first few gigs we just got synths and drum machines and we went away from all that. We still had bass. People would go, get a guitar, and it was like, no, we've had one, we didn't like it. Although I have guitars since. I'm not against guitar. I mostly listen to guitar music, It's just that's not what we did. It's not what I wanted to do. So it was weird, and it was hard to get decent gigs. You didn't have any clubs like now doing industrial or goth or whatever. It was. I think there were goth clubs actually. There were because there was the Batcave and things, but it was very separate then. Anything industrial was very different. It was very separate to the goth scene, but now they kind of merged together a lot.
They have. It's great. I saw you were. I think it was you that was saying something about how the clubs now are more friendly for that than when you first started out. And I remember talking to Ogre and Dwayne and Kevin in '87 about doing live shows because I was a band manager at the time, an artist manager at the time, and I mean get a little gig for your band at the local pub, the local bar or whatever, and so I couldn't really reconcile the idea of how Skinny Puppy could put on a show. And so I was talking to them. I was doing some photography for them back in '87 and was in Portland with them, and I was asking them about that. And they're like, "Oh no, it was rec theaters and old warehouse spaces, and people would put on a big party kind of thing." And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, it was kind of a broadening of my whole understanding back when I was 18, and crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was like a new frontier.
No,
it's exciting.
It's got a real DIY feeling to it, the whole scene. And like you were saying with the tapes and everything, there was a lot of the tape movement back then.
Yeah,
our friend Penelope does a Facebook page about some of the old cassette tape DIY cassette tape times. Some really cool stuff on there. I used to have a bunch. I imagine you probably have a box somewhere with some really cool shit in it, maybe?
I do, not as much as I used to have because I kind of like threw stuff away. Well, I think that some of the tapes actually pretty much died, but I still
they weren't meant to but they sound almost, it's like almost a remix version now when you play a warbled tape.
I know. It's the new album I put out a small tape edition as well, cassette. 50 because I just wanted to, because people buy them again.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I think I'm going to be doing that, getting that one, because
I'd always anything other than a tape to listen to things, but they look cool. I mean,
they do.
I did them for fun, and I think we've sold 2/3 of them. I don't know. They're all right. They've done okay. It was just more for nostalgia, I think. But yeah, we got the tape things, and they did sell quite well. There'd be few thousand on the best ones, the compilations.
Yeah.
Like Rising from the Red Sands that was on Third Mind. That was a collection of cassette compilations, five
Yeah.
volumes, and they did thousands of copies. So they got quite big, and we
Yeah.
did some.
Well, you also did the compilation Sent from Coventry in 1980, just basically off the magazine, yeah?
Yes, yeah, it was at the time there was a lot of like compilations of bands from different cities around the UK. So I remember there was a Leeds one, a Liverpool one, Bristol. I don't think there was ever a London one because I guess it's such a big city. But I thought, well, we need a Coventry one because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I contacted Cherry Red Records, who I used to get some free records from when I did the fanzine, which
Yeah.
is good. And they used to send me things. They sent me Dead Kennedys. That was the first time I heard
Oh,
Dead Kennedys.
wow.
It was great. I love Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
And so I just wrote to them, said, "Do you want to do a Coventry one?" But it was just as the specials were having hits. So of course they did. They
Yeah.
did. We didn't get the specials on it because they couldn't do it. They
Yeah.
did. But on the other hand, Horace, the bass player, wrote sleeve notes on the back, so that was cool.
Oh, that's fucking
And
awesome.
yeah, I compiled
Pretty
just
cool.
the bands that I
Hmm.
knew and that I wrote about.
Yeah.
And it did pretty well in 1980. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Actually, I've been looking for a copy of it on Discogs. It looks like there's some available, and it was
It,
reissued
it
20
was
in
reissued
2000.
by a label. Actually, the label guy used to live in the street or next street to me now, but I hardly knew him.
Yeah.
But even that was 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So 2000, I think, is when they
yeah,
done
I
the
mean it's
reissue.
kind of punk new wave bands,
Yeah.
really.
So
But
were there any logistical issues getting the bands on? I mean, it's got to be kind of a weird thing, go from a Xerox zine to I'm gonna put a fucking record out.
well, no, because Cherry Red really did all that.
Yeah.
I just compiled it and gave them. I did an issue of the fanzine to go inside the. I don't know if it was every edition, but
Yeah.
and then so I did that, and I did a little interview and wrote about them. But no, I didn't actually do all the
Um,
press distribution. That was all handled by Cherry Red. So
Hmm.
yeah, I just
well,
did it.
that's
I mean, it's funny really because I did it. I didn't. I just did it all for the love of it. Which is
yeah.
the
No, that's the best reason to do it, man.
yeah, yeah.
So aside from the specials, were there any bands that you really wanted to get on the compilation that you weren't able to?
Yes, there's a band called God's Toys who
Okay.
were really good. They were
Hmm.
probably my favorite local band.
That's toys.
Um,
I'm gonna have to look them
and
up.
they toured with Adam and the Ants, Kings of the
Hmm.
Wild Frontier. They did a
Oh,
date.
okay.
They got us their first single got into the charts here, but only just. And but they only did two 7-inch singles, and then they all hated each other.
Oh man, that
Wow.
sucks.
And I think the tour wore them out 30 days sleeping in a van. And,
We're
you
not
know,
ready. We're not ready.
I've never done anything quite that intense. I've done a lot of dates, but not so bad.
Yeah, I think Levi knows that story pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I've slept on concrete floors in Holland, I remember, and things.
Hmm.
But yeah, theirs was intense.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was. Yeah, they always regretted. Their manager thought they were going to be massive, so they didn't want to go on this compilation. And I was
Wow.
like, well, what that wouldn't have harmed you. But
Yeah.
I still speak to the singer, but he's got kind of crazy and he does weird solo music now. But I used to live in the house with him as well, so
Oh,
I knew him quite well. But they were great, actually. When we just played last week at a festival in Poland called the Castle Party Festival, which
okay.
is great. And we met this Swedish band called Funhouse, sort of goth rock band. They're pretty good, nice guys. We were just getting drunk with them at the hotel afterwards. And then one of the guys said, "Oh, I know a band from Coventry called God's Toys." And this was like they split up in 1981 or something, and
Yeah.
I think he'd seen them in London
Oh,
at,
wow.
uh, at the
Yeah, they
old
split up in 81.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They were pretty good. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange. They only had one album. I mean, oh, two songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got them on TV. The BBC were doing a series of music programs in 1980 called Something Else. And they'd have young people that were doing creative things, so that, like someone was an actress on mine, and someone, I can't remember all the different things, but I was on saying how to make a fanzine.
Yeah.
And then when you did it, you got to choose a national band to be on and a local band. So when they did the Coventry edition, no one else knew much about music, so I chose Susie and the Banshees for the national band.
Oh, wow.
So I loved
Yeah.
Susie, and then the local band I chose God's Toys. So they got two songs on the BBC on this. It's a real shame these programs are lost, because they had you've probably all seen the Manchester edition of Something Else, Joy Division with a local band, and
Yeah.
they do She's Lost Control, and there's a banner behind them on the video that says Something Else. And it's really well known. It's always shown. I'm sure you've probably seen it sometime. And then they had the Jam, the Clash, and I thought this should be something people can see,
Yeah, no
like
doubt.
lost bit of history that the BBC is just sitting on.
Yeah.
I got a copy actually. I managed to get a copy after 40 years.
Well, I think we ought to be pushing these places to go ahead and get these things released. I mean, they're historical
Yeah,
documents at this point, and
it is. It's really weird.
yeah.
But I saw it after 40 years, and I thought, oh God, what was I like? A little punk rocker. And I was a little bit of a punk rocker in a little jacket, but I actually thought it wasn't too bad. I didn't mind.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it was weird after 40 years.
Yeah, I gotta say, God bless John Peel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in forming attrition, back to that,
Yeah,
Julia, she makes a reappearance recently.
yeah,
And so what was that like? I mean, there's got to be some nostalgia there. I mean, when you were first working on attrition, there's got to be a vast difference of how things are now.
yeah. It was. I mean, she did. I mean, obviously, I was with her at the time, and we started attrition together basically in 1980, and
Yeah.
then she did, and then we split up, but she still carried on with attrition, but sometimes would do other things. She joined the legendary Pink Dots for a while.
Yeah.
So that was going on for all the 80s, and then in the 90s she started to like not really want to play live, and then she still recorded, and then she sort of, it was 2004, the Dante's Kitchen album was the last time she did any recording. And then she just didn't feel up to doing it or wanting to do music. So she I mean, I still used to see her sometimes because she's in Coventry. I saw her today, actually. But she's, so she just stopped for all that time. And then I hadn't seen her for a few years. But her brother Ashley also was in attrition doing synths,
Yeah.
and he came back after the lockdown. We decided we did a soundtrack called Death House. This Death House in 1982. It was a cassette, just a dark ambient instrumental soundtrack. It's people still buy it. It just came out on vinyl a couple of years ago again.
Yeah.
And he said, we've never done it live. And he lives in San Francisco. And he said, he was like, and there's the other guy, Woody, that did it with us. They just came back after years and years and said, can we do this live? And I went, yeah, go on. That sounds fun.
Right
So
on.
we did that. And Ash comes over every time from San Francisco to do shows. And then Julia, because it's his brother, she came out and she got keen to do music again. So a couple of years ago, this was,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay. I'd always done music, and they hadn't for a long time. I thought, yeah, okay. So therefore we got the original lineup, and we did some couple of shows.
Yeah.
festivals. But then like she came back then to do. I'd already like nearly finished the Black Mariah, the new album, with different guests. I've just had a lot of different guests really over the years, and so Julia got on 2 tracks. So the last 2 to be done really. So, and she just was just the same as before.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's like we hadn't finished. You know, we hadn't had a break really.
Yeah. That's
So
beautiful.
we're actually looking forward to do stuff now. Now that the album's out and it's had a lot of the promotional phase, and then I want to get onto recording new stuff. So, but she'll be there at the beginning, so that'll be great. So,
Oh, man, I am so excited for this.
Going back to the beginning with Death House, which I heard yesterday, which was blown away by, I read it was inspired by zombie films.
yeah, it's kind of I'm a bit obsessed by zombie films, so it
Yeah,
was a
me
bit,
too. I'm a huge
yeah,
horror fan. Like Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento are some of my favorite
Night of the Living
actors.
Dead and things, and it was
Yeah.
I just want to know what zombie films those were. If you could talk about creating when the release came out, what inspired you
it,
for that?
it was really Night of the Living Dead.
Hmm.
Because I used to like gaming, like war gaming when I was a kid. I was kind of embarrassed. I never mentioned it after that. But so I made a game of Night of the Living Dead, and then this was
Oh,
I thought
wow.
let's improvise on our analog synths a soundtrack for it. So we did a couple of afternoon soundtrack, and then I mixed it and did a few things. So it was the idea was you played it while you played the game. But I'd lost my game. I didn't even know I had a copy anymore. I sent it off to some companies to sort of get it manufactured, but
Wow.
it nearly did. This is like 82. And then
Wow.
I went, no, I'm not doing that anymore. But that's really why this music existed. So it was kind of a horror film soundtrack score, but it's still popular. It's crazy. Yeah. People actually, it's been on cassette, CDs, few different vinyl editions. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, it's good.
I'm just gonna put this out there. If you're ever interested in like revisiting that game and playing it sometime, I think you've got a couple of people right here that would be willing to jump on Zoom with you to
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
Well, I've got a copy now because I think it was my birthday last year, and Julia gave me her copy. She had a
No
copy.
way.
I don't know
Oh,
what happened to mine, but it must have been when I moved. Sometime it went missing. It's it probably needs checking over, but yeah,
That's
it's
so awesome.
I should. I haven't got enough hours really in the day, but
I refer to myself as an all media artist. I make music, but that's not I'm not trained. Let's put it that way. And so when you said what you did about you don't consider yourself a musician, I don't consider myself a musician either. I'm sort of an artist that plays around with every medium.
yeah, that's what
So
I always
it's nice
say.
meeting. It's nice meeting a like mind, especially after the amount of time I've spent just absorbing your music. You're literally a part of my DNA. And it's kind of a fucking awesome thing. So that's great, man.
Yeah.
What was
So
the first thing? Oh, go ahead, Levi. Go ahead.
no, how's Julia doing again?
She's great, actually. Yeah, she's really got into doing music again. So it's lovely. I mean, I say we see her fairly often now, and she's keen. She's keen to do new stuff. So yeah, it's
That's
brilliant. But it's funny because today we went to Poland, but she doesn't. She only plays in the UK. So there's another singer, and she's here. She probably can hear me talking in the next room. It's Alia, and she's from Toronto, and she joins me on a lot of shows or joins Attrition when we play in other countries. So she's came over to play in Poland, and then she stayed here for a bit, and we've been going to London, and we went to Stratford to see where Shakespeare was born and died.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so Julia
Shared
came
his
over
birthday.
today with her husband, and we all went over to see it to a castle and have a look around a few things. So it's good. Yeah, it's like a attrition family.
Yeah. I share Shakespeare's birthday, April 23rd.
Oh, it's 23rd.
Also, yeah, also his death day.
that's
So if I work this right, maybe I can leave on the same day.
That's
Hey,
true.
what are you doing next June, Martin?
Next June,
Hmm.
I don't think I know.
There's a festival in Seattle called Mechanismus, and
It's been on, yeah.
yeah,
I've heard of it, yeah.
I would love to see you.
Yeah, I'll have
Absolutely.
to,
I'll
yeah,
I'll 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 have to introduce you to Ollie.
yeah.
So
I'd like to have emailed him before because I do, try to keep in touch with things, but
yeah.
it's been on a few years, hasn't it?
Yes, yes. They just did their 15-year
Because I
anniversary this
don't know.
yeah. Yeah, it was a
It's
wonderful time. Yeah.
yeah. I like Seattle actually. We did a few shows there. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That'd be great, man.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Joey, you had something?
Well, I was just going to ask, you had your brother Chris on guitar for a while. What was the first thing that you worked on?
Oh, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he only did 4 shows. He used my guitar actually, and he wasn't very good, and I had to ask him to leave. But he, oh no,
Lord, mercy.
I don't think he is actually. No, he's all right because he used to be in the army actually, and then he used to come and visit me in London, and we get really
Yeah.
stoned. It was funny, and because that's really bad if you're in the army. It was in the 80s, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's all right, really. But no, he hasn't done any. He was on the Sent from Coventry album, actually. He was in a local band doing a bit of keyboards,
Oh,
and
cool.
that's his claim to fame. But he didn't really do much with Attrition. Just four gigs when we were like a noisy anarchist punk band, really.
Yeah.
And then I threw him out for the best. It's for the best.
Oh man.
Well,
So
go ahead.
sorry, Joey, go ahead.
Well, I just, you had that tour at the legendary Pink Dots in '84, and that had to be an amazing experience. I was wondering if you could expand on that and talk about that tour.
Yeah, I say that was the first one that we did. We just before that we'd just played around the UK as much as we could, and so this was the first where it was a proper tour. Where you gone off for 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So we were mostly I think we did about 9 shows in Holland, which is quite a lot in that country. And then we went down to Switzerland and did 2. It was all recorded actually. We
Really?
recorded the shows, and it's a live. There's a live album called the Terminal Kaleidoscope, which is the Pink Dots on one side and we're on the other side.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah,
was
that's right.
at first it was just a cassette, but in a really nice packaging with a
Mhm.
booklet and everything. And then it was reissued about, oh God, I don't know if it was 15 years ago on a CD by a French label. But yeah, it's quite obscure. I actually said to Ed recently we should do a limited vinyl or something, put it out
Yeah,
again.
you should.
It's a pretty good thing. Yeah, it was great, and I liked it. I loved the Dots.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was great, but we were so exhausted. We weren't used to it, and we were in an old British car, and it kept breaking down. It's like,
Yeah.
that's how it goes. And you're doing it. I hadn't got any money. I was like on the dole, and I had to borrow a bit of money so we could get the ferry and drive over there. Oh, and then the Dutch customs, we hadn't got any like paperwork at all, any visa or anything. So we just went like tourists, and they stopped us. And they took all our equipment off us and kept it in some building. And we had to go and get a deposit, get a load of money to put down, and then come back the next day. It was horrible. So I'm always like, I mean, most countries I go to, I'm kind of illegal because it costs too much to get all the permits.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I'm always a bit nervous. But we always managed to play in the end. So that was a weird start. And yeah, it was good. We really got friends with the Pink Dots. So then that's really why we moved to London. That was April, and I think May we just left our place in Coventry and moved down to London, and kind of enjoyed not having any money in London, which was a bit hard at times.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So now, yeah, I met Randall Fraser, who's in the Pink Dots now.
Oh yeah, he wasn't in them then, but he a bit
Oh,
later.
Yeah.
I met
Yeah.
him actually later
Yeah.
when we played with them. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
yeah,
That was supposed to be coming out. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah. He's awesome. I love Randall.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love the whole gang actually. Actually the tour I was talking about with Skinny Puppy, that's actually Edward was the person that got that started. I was bootlegging with photography. I was bootlegging in Seattle at the Paramount or the Moore, one of those. I think it was the Moore. And I got caught taking pictures, and so I'm doing the palm one set of negatives or one film thing and giving him a blank one.
Oh, right.
So I kept, I take the film out, I stow it in my pocket and give them an empty roll. And and they're like, well, you're gonna so we had a little thing going on while Skinny Puppy were playing, and whenever I got them to leave, they were like, okay, we're not gonna take your camera. And I'm like, you're damn right, you're not gonna take my camera. So it's like, I'm not gonna take more pictures. The guy that's sitting in front of me at the time, he turns around and goes, are you doing photos of the show? And I'm like, you're at Ka-Spel. And he's like, yeah. And so we ended up meeting there, and he invited me to come to Portland to do to do his show the next night or a few nights later. And yeah, he's a fucking sweetheart, man.
Yeah.
I
What year was
love him so
that?
much. Huh?
What year was that?
87. It was on
Oh, I
yeah,
used to live in the same house.
he was out doing the solo stuff.
Yeah, because I remember him going there. I lived in the same house as him in 84, 85 it was.
Yeah.
And I think he did, maybe that wasn't his first time. I think he went before that. But yeah, it was like I was always jealous, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that was his first time out here.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, he was just so gracious, so gentle
Yeah.
and absolutely kind. It was because I mean I'm 18, I'm just starting out with the art stuff and everything, and or trying stuff out. And he made me feel welcome. He made me feel like I was part of it. They all did, honestly.
Yeah.
It was a great time. But yeah, I didn't even hear Legendary Pink Dots first. I heard Edward Ka-Spel solo stuff. I was working at a
Right,
record store
yeah.
and found a copy of Eyes China Doll and one
Yeah,
of the
that's
other
fun.
China Doll albums, and bought
Yeah.
and I'm like, I will never get to see this guy. He's from Holland. This is brilliant stuff. And then Skinny Puppy announced they were doing that tour, and Edward Ka-Spel would be opening, and I just blew my mind. So meeting
Yeah,
him,
that's brilliant. Yeah, I liked I think his solo stuff's just it's kind of like the Pink Dots, but without the full band, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Just as
No,
good.
it's very
It's him.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And sometimes that's good actually, that it's
yeah.
simple.
No, I found out after meeting him and everything. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the guy from Legendary Pink Dots.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I try to see him every time they come to town. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. So your latest release, The Black Mariah, came out March 23rd of this year on Bandcamp with the release. It states, for all our gods and imitators, the Black Mariah, a menacing 19th century figure who would come to take away our outcasts and miscreants, later used as slang for the UK term, or for slang term for the UK police fans. Not much has changed. Can you talk about what this blurb
Yeah.
with the release means to you?
Yeah. Well, it was inspired really because I was married at the time to Kerry, and she had she's since passed away actually 2 years ago. But she had a lot of trouble with alcohol and mental health issues. So bless her. And so we'd have some troubles, and then there was the trouble with the police really coming round, and they were like arrested me, and they were really corrupt, and they didn't show ID. They were really bad. And then I mean nothing. I just I was all right, nothing happened to me, but uh, she got in some trouble, and it was really bad. It was like really just a brush with corrupt police, basically.
I'm
So,
so sorry, man.
and that's really, hence that was the inspiration for it. I was actually at the time, I was very angry, and I was going to do a documentary about it, but now with what's happened and she's not here anymore, I don't think I need to do that. But yeah,
Well,
so that was
a lot of love
actually
in
the
my heart, man.
inspiration. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's quite sad, really. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was a bit weird because I didn't want to like put the album out and say all about it. And in the lyrics, it's not obvious. It's just
No.
hinted at, really.
It's
Yeah,
dark. It's dark.
yeah.
It's beautiful. It's poignant.
Yes.
Where would you like this release to take listeners?
It's always weird, really, because it's always I sort of like make it for me. Everything I do, I really make for me. You know,
Yeah.
it's like kind of gets out of my
Where does it
system.
take you? Where does it take you?
It's I think it's a good question, and I'm going to try and think about it while I talk. But it's yeah, it's like it's a lot of my lyrics are very much done from the subconscious, like dreamlike. So
Yeah.
I think it's that it's like trying to understand what's happened and what's happening, and it's lots of things. It's not just like that incident; it's just one thing, and there's the whole. They're very much like I always think they're like a photo album of my life over a few years, or when it's when it's written. I don't always even know what everything means that I've written. I just
Yeah.
know it works, and then sometimes years later I go, oh God, that's obvious now. I was talking about
Yeah.
that and the other.
I,
So
I do
it's
that too. It's
I mean, music, any art form's like a purer form of expression than I can do talking now in a really crap way. It's like that's why
yeah.
if I could say it perfectly, I probably wouldn't have had to make the album,
Yeah.
which would be a bit boring probably. But it's yeah, it's just trying to understand myself and what the whole crazy thing that we live in. We live in, and every album is that. It's a scrapbook of that era.
Yeah.
I really noticed that having done, a lot,
A lot. Yeah.
over the years looking back, you realize it's totally like an audio photo album, I think, of the time.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that's what any good album is, isn't it?
That's beautiful. Yeah, I go back to my work sometimes and I'm like, oh, I'll see stuff. I mean, because typically when I'm writing, I have no idea what I'm writing until I finish and I can go back and read it.
Yeah,
It's very stream of
you just know
consciousness.
if it works, though. I
Yeah,
think
and I go back and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I try to figure out what it means. And yeah, that's fun.
yeah,
So I was playing this last night. I had gotten a little stoned and put it on, and I was gonna work on some questions, but
Yeah.
it's being called a career-defining release, and it is an overwhelming experience, Martin. It's dark,
thank you.
physical, cerebral, spiritual. I sat, I danced, I thought, I took a trip. Thank you. It's a beautiful, beautiful release.
Thank you.
Can you take us through making this? I mean, the layers, the some of the
Yeah.
sounds were happening, and some of the slower pieces that just absolutely incredible. Where is this coming from?
Well, first of all, it did take years to do. It's been for lots of reasons. I mean, the last album was 2015, when we did the Millions of the Mouthless Dead, the First World War poetry and things.
Yeah,
And then I did
unbelievable release.
some other ambient pieces. I did some side projects actually after that, Engram and some other things, guests for people. But the Great Derailer, I did a single in 2000, but it was just before COVID and everything. I was going to do the album, and I lost all enthusiasm. All our shows, we had tours to do. We were going to do our first big South American one. So I just, I was like, I did lose some enthusiasm. And actually, I was distracted because I do production and mastering here in my studio as well for like the bands. And actually, in COVID time during the lockdowns, I got more than ever to do because no one could tour, so they were all recording. So I was busy with that. That's another delay. And then there was the whole thing that there'd been the whole thing with Kerry and all that. And then that was difficult. And actually, the last track, the Black Mariah itself, is that story. And I didn't know, I couldn't ever get the lyrics right. And it was, I say it's weird, it wasn't weird. When she died, I wrote them immediately. You know, it was like, I didn't know how it would end. It was like a story, and I didn't know it was end, and then I did know how it ended, and that created that. So that was that, and there was other delays. We were going to release the vinyl with an American, well, a label called, I won't say who they are, and they didn't do it, and they messed us around. So in the end, I did it all myself, and it's worked out well, actually. It was a hell of a lot of work. It was, you know, to do everything, write it, master it, mix it, release it, promote it. But you know, it's good. But yeah, I think I think as it took her quite a few years to get it done, I think that I got worried sometimes that I was overdoing, you know, we kept visiting it again and redoing things and producing it. And you can go too far, can't you, with an album where you just go, oh, it's being overcooked kind of thing.
Not this one.
Lost. I don't think it has. I think it was good. But so there was a bit of that, but it meant that I could get into details, which I really, you know, like when there's the ambient tracks, I want to spend just as long on them, not just throw out an ambient loop and synth drones. But I want to spend all the little timing between the different sounds. I spend ages. Oh, that's a second too long or something. I'll go back and do it. And I just kept doing it. And I thought, well, I don't want to rush an album now. You know, there's no need. So I think it was just all that the time. I worked with lots of people on different guest bits and reworked them. And yeah, you know, occasionally come up against a brick wall and then get angry and throw it out and do it again, like we all do.
Well, it's an absolutely impressive release. There's not a second of wasted space on it. I mean, the spaces where there is no sound are just as important as the ones where there are sound, and what's happening in those spaces. It just blew my damn mind. I mean, and I played it twice last night. The first time I was a little, like I said, I was a little stoned. Then I listened to it when I wasn't, and still just it's fucking beautiful. And so I can't believe it. I'm definitely ordering the vinyl and the CD and likely the cassette as well. So
oh, okay.
No, I can't wait to have this on my turntable. I can't wait to and honestly, I can't wait to hear what is it, the Great Derailleur, and the Watch, and the Alibi. I can't wait to hear those on the dance floor. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if I have. Yeah,
those are going to be so big.
Yeah.
So aside from Julia being back, you teamed up with some really, really powerful voices on this. The vocals on this are just absolutely insane. Can you introduce us to them, please?
Yeah, well, on the Derailleur, it was well, I call her Emka. That's like sort of bits MS. Oh gosh, I'll have trouble pronouncing her name now. But she's from Black Nail Cabaret, the singer of Black Nail Cabaret.
Yeah.
And it's
Imka?
Emka is a short name, you know, like
okay.
It's MS. I don't know the full name. Anyway, she's great. Yes, and we played with her. She's Hungarian, and we played with them in Budapest in 2017. So I got to know her. So she did a great job on that, and that was the first one. And then there's Yvette from Vaseline.
Vaseline, yeah.
Yeah, they're a Dutch band. And the guys from he used to be in Clandestine actually, and then
Yeah.
I don't know how long ago actually. I'm not an expert on their history, but yeah. So she did that, and then I've had some bits from Alia that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Julia's on the Switch and on the Black Mariah. And there's a local singer called Joanne, a friend of mine, that also did a bit on the Alibi, the spoken bits.
Yeah.
I think that's the singers.
No, it's like you've wrangled a bunch of Valkyries, honestly. It is stunning power in those voices. The other contributing artists on the release, anybody else we need to know about?
Well, Annie Hogan on piano, she plays grand piano. I don't know if
Okay.
you know Annie, but she was in with Mark Almond in the 80s
Oh,
with
with Mark and the Mambas. Mark
yeah,
and the Mambas, yeah, with Matt Johnson from the.
yeah, she did that, and she's done stuff with Nick Cave and
Oh my
Paul.
God, yeah.
Everybody
Wow.
really. In fact, she
Wow.
Wolfgang Fleur that was in Kraftwerk, and
Mhm.
she did stuff with the World War One album, and we got him to do a little. He said he loved the tracks, and I was a bit, I'm not worthy, it's Kraftwerk. So he did a little guest vocal bit, and I was really pleased with that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing. That's absolutely
that's one of
amazing.
my favourite bands. So, so that was great, So she's done it. She's done a couple of albums before. She did a bit of piano, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's quite busy doing her solo stuff as well now.
No, those what is it? The Toreador, Mark and the Mambas album.
Yeah,
Absolutely fucking incredible. Wow.
yeah. So she did all that. But I think she fell out with Mark Almond and things. She
Oh
doesn't.
no.
I don't know now. Actually, that was a while ago. But yeah. So yeah, and there's some of the people. There's a bit of guitar from a friend Ian Arkley, who plays in a doom metal band, and he's a friend that just
Yeah, the guitars on it are
to see it.
the guitars on the album are subtle and
There's a little bit of guitar.
arranged. And,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant, man. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting and there's Steve Clark, who's another local band that I love called For Tumch. That he does that intro of the Great Derailer, the bendy bit.
Man.
So just bits here and there, I'll go, yeah, go on, try that and add a little bit. So that's why there's a lot of, I think that's why there's a lot of layers and textures. It was over a time, and I'd go, oh, that's still not right. It needs a little bit at the beginning, I should do one faster next time though.
Well, this one's killing it. It really is. Jesus.
It took me 8 years, I can't do that many albums from the.
Yeah, no, it's
many
well worth
left.
its weight in gold, man. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you again.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Looking over the artists that you've done work at the Cage Studios, which is insanely impressive. To name a few of those, like Psychic TV, Coil, Edward Ka-Spel, Decrups, Download, Cyberactive, Noise Unit, In the Nursery, The Residents, Pigface, Damage Manual, and Black Tape for Blue Girl. We'd love to ask you some questions about a few of the sessions.
Yeah, I mean, most of those, I think all of them, they haven't been here. I get things sent to me. I get the file, I get all the audio sent over so I can work on it. But so they haven't actually been here. I don't, yeah. So they are sessions still, but it's basically I do it when I'm, I like it really.
It's still amazing. Well, so I own Fixed, along with all the Nine Inch Nails singles, and an original pressing of Recoiled.
Oh
which-
yeah.
Several
Just come out
remixes
again.
of the many remixes Coil did with Trent Reznor. Coil remixes are some of my favorite of Trent's music. Were you involved with the remixes that were done with
No,
Nine Inch Nails?
they were that one. That was weren't they done in New Orleans in the 90s or something? I think.
It says here
I
Cage
think.
Studios on the
No, it's the mastering. Yeah,
Hmm.
I did the mastering. Yeah, a lot of those things I mastered them, so they'd already been done, and I get sent them to finish them off and get them all to sound lovely.
What was the mastering like for doing those tracks?
It's great. I mean, I hadn't heard those tracks before, and I really like them. They're actually, I agree. They're some of my favorite tracks by both bands, actually. And it was just, yeah, it was good. I did a remastering of Love Secret Domain as well, and it was good actually because I actually hadn't got many Coil records at all. I knew them obviously, but I hadn't. So I've actually got into hearing them a lot more in the last 10 years, which has been great. So I just enjoy it, It's just, I mean, to be honest, it's the same as mastering any band. It's good to have it should all be the same, It's I don't like to be influenced in the mastering like something really. You have to kind of be a bit technical with it. But yeah, it's always good and it's great to do. I did a BEF, which is half of the Human League before they became Heaven 17, and that was for Colin as well. I did that, and that was great because I loved the early Human League as one of my favorite electronic bands.
Yeah, no, it's wild how different the early stuff is from
it's great, but then the later stuff's just pop, isn't it? Really, but the first stuff, that was the first electronic band I saw actually, supporting Susie and the Banshees in Coventry in 1978, I think.
Oh wow,
that's kind of like gothic industrial, wasn't it? In an embryo.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
It came under punk, really. It was all a punk gig. Nobody, it was post-punk, I suppose, really. But so yeah, no, I've got a new Residents album to master actually. Just got it, a live one.
Nice.
Oh
I
man.
do. It's great. It's good. I must admit, it's nice having some famous bands and things in.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome.
I hear some brilliant bands that nobody, no one's heard of, or I've had a lot of Ukrainian bands actually, which has been nice to do. So it's good to know that they're still putting out records in Ukraine and stuff.
You got any names you can share with us?
Oh gosh.
Stuff to look for?
Well, I don't know if you'd even find it over here actually. No, I'll tell you what, I can't think. I've done a lot. I can't remember because some of them are Ukrainian names. There's no way I'd remember how to say it.
Well, if you're interested, at some point maybe we can have you do a post on Industrial Amputation's page with Martin Bose suggests.
I could actually, yeah, okay. I'll go and have a look. I'll be in the studio tomorrow, so I'll go and have a look.
Awesome, man.
Kevin Key is my favorite musician, hands down. What works of Download and Cyberactive was your studio involved with?
I did a few, didn't I? It was through. I don't work with them now. In Toronto. Tell me the label it was on. It was the Canadian label.
Artifact?
Artifact, yeah. It was. They did quite a lot, and they sent a lot to me. I used to occasionally talk to Kevin, so I'd chat to him about it, but I can't remember which ones I did. Don't ask me questions like that.
All right.
I didn't have any of those albums before. Actually, I had a Noise Unit album. I did one of those again because they were on thing. It's funny because I used to get, when in the 80s, I hadn't got any money. I used to get albums from labels that I knew or bands. So I had Frontline Assembly albums because they were on Third Mind and we were. But I didn't have any Skinny Puppy, and I never even heard them really until a long time later. When someone sent me, they were working on promoting them, and I got a load of their early albums. But that was in the 90s or something. I didn't know. I knew all about them, but I hadn't. It was hard to hear things in the 80s, wasn't it? Really, unless
it was a different time.
Friend had a record, or you heard it on John Peel or something.
Yeah, you're literally recording it off the radio. Yeah.
And I remember Bill Lee wrote to us I think he was still in Skinny Puppy, and he wrote saying how much he liked Attrition, and it was like, oh wow. So I don't know who they are, but that's nice to get that letter. We still had that letter. That would be brilliant.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I used to get, you couldn't keep them all. So yeah, but I just remember. So occasionally I talk to him now, but not that often really.
Yeah. We have to get you a spot in the museum.
Yeah.
Museum of Post-Punk and Industrial Music.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I hope. I'm coming to do Cold Wave, so I'm hoping to go and see
Really?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely stop
Time,
by.
I
See
don't
Martin,
know.
man. The two Martins. Oh my God, you guys
Yeah,
have
well, I know
to
Martin
do
quite
something.
well because Martin was born just
Yeah.
near Coventry, isn't he?
Just nearby. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8 miles away, I think it is. And
Yeah.
I used to see him when he came back here,
Yeah.
because we were on his label. So he's coming to do a talk in Coventry, actually. You know, he does his
Oh, right
talks,
on. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's coming to do them next month. So I should go and see him.
yeah.
Yeah.
You may want to
Yeah.
double check. He may have canceled that because I know he was having some issues with his hip. So I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
You may want to follow up with him.
I'll message him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually
Yeah.
talked for ages. Oh, that's a shame.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I did remember seeing an email. He was having some issues with that. But
Yeah, I'll check then.
He's all right. He's all right.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know, Martin is Martin. I love
Yeah,
him.
he is. He's a
yeah, we love
freaking,
Martin.
he's a freaking
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah.
A big lovable tank. I love him.
I know.
Yep.
People
Yeah.
say a lot, but I love him. Love him.
Yeah.
You know.
Of all
Yeah.
the incredible work done in your studio, is there any really tracks or albums that stand out above others than what we've already talked about that really just pop in your mind?
I'd say mostly I do mastering. I do a lot of remixes actually and some production. I've just been doing a Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry remix.
Oh,
I don't know if
wow.
I'm supposed to say that though, because they're just doing a new album. Oh, yeah, whatever I've said it. I don't know actually. I'm just always doing stuff. It's so much, and it's great. I love it. But I say it's mostly mastering, so I can't really claim any great credit for the album. It's their work, but I just try and make it all sound good in the end. And I have recently, I mean, with COVID, I used to have more people come here actually, but with COVID and lockdown, it kind of killed it. And then I got used to just working more on my own. And then when I want someone to come round, someone for nutrition recording or something. So I don't have so many people now.
Yeah.
I did used to I mentioned God's Toys earlier, and I did have the singer Dill come and do some solo albums. But he's a crazy dude.
He's great.
He doesn't come anymore, so that's good. But it was fun actually because he hadn't recorded for about 30 years, and he just got into it again. But that was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I haven't. I can't think of any albums that I've actually got that I can say that's real standout that I've produced here because I only do a few time to time.
Right on.
Okay. Levi, do you have a good question?
No, I mean, so when you're coming in to Cold Waves, what kind of setup you gonna have when you're there?
Well, there'll be three of us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have four. Actually, in Poland we had four, but there was three of us. There's going to be me, Alia, as I say, from Toronto, coming over from Toronto. And then Ashley is in San Francisco. Works for Google actually, and he's
I used
going
to work for
over
Google.
his keyboard. Yeah, so he does that. So it's going to be the three of us. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
good.
I'll be doing my vocals, and I'll have a bit of a synth going as well. So I'm not exactly sure what we're using this time, but it depends what we can bring over or he's going to get. Yeah, so that's the 29th of September, isn't it? It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
going to that?
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try. Really want to try.
I hope so. Yeah.
I have to get some medical things, together.
Yeah.
But I want to go really bad.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
We get to see you, and get
Yeah,
to see
well, I haven't played in the US for years and years. We did quite a lot in the end of the 90s, mid to the late 90s and early and mid 2000s, yeah, and then since 2008 we played in Hawaii actually, and that was
Oh, yeah.
all. That was
Wow.
great.
Wow.
Yeah, I like I played in Hawaii, and that's very humid, you know, very
Yeah.
humid. I remember we watch who's this famous Hawaiian performer?
Don Ho.
Yeah, Don Ho.
There you go.
And I remember I was so sunburned that I said I was black. I was so soot. I was so soot. And we saw his performance
Oh man.
and when we were introduced to his kids, because he has his kids in the Don Ho show. And I walked up and I said, "Nice meeting you, Mrs. Ho." And I realized it, and I was like, "Oh."
Oh
You
man.
know. But I thought it was going to be just a touristy thing, but it was really a good thing to catch when I was
Oh, cool.
like,
Yeah.
and I know one thing, getting on the plane and watching where this plane is going to land on this little rock. I
Yeah.
was like, what the hell? We're going down there? That's crap. I'm
Yeah, I
like,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, I said, where's this island? You know, 2 or 3 islands. And we're going to land on it, you know. That's too much water around me. You know, got to be in a bigger body of land.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I guess
Oh,
I'm
but-
used to a bit less land, but it's not that bad.
No, it's not. No.
No.
It's really, I went to the seedy places there, and they were really seedy. So I didn't but I just saw some pictures of me, and I could barely see me because I was dark. I swear, you'd been like, "Where's Charles?" And I'm right there.
Like, smile, man, smile.
Yeah, really smile. All you would get is white,
Oh my God.
But were they good to you in Hawaii? I mean, like, did you get taken care of in the
Yeah,
accommodation?
it was really good. It was Anne Love, that's his DJ's there. She arranged it. It was a Halloween show, so it was good. So there was
Oh,
like a whole thing anyway, a big party, and
yeah.
yeah,
So they,
2017 that was. That was
huh,
good. Yeah, I'd like to go back.
yeah, not me.
I don't know how I survived actually in the sun. Oh yeah, I suppose it was wind. It was dark. Wasn't that hot. It was still hot. I can't
Oh,
even in the sun. I get sunburnt.
oh,
Yeah.
oh. No, you'd have been as dark as me. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. So we're going to Australia for the first time in for the Halloween actually this year.
Oh wow.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Where's that
So,
going to be?
in Halloween we're
No,
going
where? In
Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay.
Then I think we're doing 9 dates though around Australia.
Oh
They're not
wow.
Wow.
getting
Yes.
confirmed at the
Cool.
moment.
So
but
this isn't just a festival you're going over for. You're doing an actual
full
leg.
festival on Halloween, but that's what started it off. And then we're going to do Sydney and we're going to go to Tasmania. That sounds brilliant. I've never
Oh,
been,
that's
so
fun.
I'm
Excellent.
excited. And then we're going to go to New Zealand, which we have been to before, but we're going to do a little bit at the end. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's quite somewhere new. I haven't been.
I would love to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. It was like Britain in the 1970s. They drive
Yeah,
on
yeah.
eat baked beans, and yet but mixed with the sort of cowboy town America as well. If you go out in the small towns that look like real small, because there's sort of influence of America and a lot of influence of Britain, obviously.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, Auckland was like any city, but it's just the small towns. They're strange. They're like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are your plans for the future, Martin, regarding your music and producing others?
Right. Well, obviously, well, we've got these gear tours. We're going to go to Japan again, and we've got Europe, and we always got UK. I'm going to do. I want to get on. I've started recording, and I want to do a. I'm going to do this sort of art thing, an ambient EP with art prints and things. I've always. I used to do. I used to be an. I mean, I basically was an artist, art school dropout. You know, so I've always done a little bit, and I'm going to do this sort of limited thing, sort of special limited art package with prints, and
Oh,
that's the
cool.
next thing. Oh, I'm going to do this. We've got remixes for the Black Mariah track, so I'm going to do a. That'll just be digital. I've got to master that. I'm
Okay.
going to put that out in a month or so, just as a follow up, and then I'm going to do the ambient thing, and then I'll just work on the new album. You know, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I've been buying loads of synths because they're so cheap, analog synths now, like the Behringer.
Right.
Everybody, I was buying one every month. It's like loads.
You've got what they call gear acquisition syndrome. Yeah.
It is, and it's brilliant, and it's and I love it though. I keep going right. I haven't played that one for a bit, and I just my studio's in my attic here,
Yeah.
so I go. I don't always want to go up there in the evening if I've worked all day.
Yeah.
So I just bring them down in the living room. I'll sit there with one, like as if when I just first started, you know,
Hmm.
next to my chair or sofa, and I just have a play and I go right. Oh, great! And I'm watching a YouTube video and then I'm trying it out, and it's great and I really love it. Whereas I was using lots of software, I still do, but it was sort of it's so nice to just get hands on all this kit, you know, and it's so cheap.
Yeah.
So that's been quite inspiring, you know. It hasn't actually cost. So now I want to record them, and I have been recording them, but I want to record more. So yeah, there's all that. I've always got lots of mastering things to do and mixing. I want to write a book actually. I want to do a sort of memoir
Oh, that would be awesome.
of me, starting with the fanzine and then
Yeah.
going through attrition. But I also thought I'll do attrition, but not just attrition, in the context of people I've worked with, so other bands and other labels, and I'll interview them and bring them in. So I think it'd be an interesting book actually. So
Yeah. No, I think it
Sure.
would be too. Actually, I meant to ask you earlier, do you still have any copies of the zine? Are you
one of every issue, yeah, I've kept one of
okay?
it.
Have you thought about maybe reissuing those?
Well, that's another book. Because I want to do another book with all of those plus a chapter where I'll write about it, you know, and
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did
I
actually
would love to see
correct
that.
it. In 2017, I did a new edition of it with a CD of local bands, and it was to help. There's the Coventry Music Museum, and there's all
Okay.
memorabilia of Coventry bands, and I've
Is
got
it still available?
they came out. There's not many left. I'll
Okay.
have a look. There's a Bandcamp page. I'll give you the link.
Okay. Yeah. Please. Yeah.
About
Please
five.
send me the link to that. Yeah.
We did 5. I mean, it was all local bands. I don't even say that I liked all of them or anything. It was just it was helping supporting the museum, you know.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
different styles. So we did that, and we thought, well, I won't put that in the book, but I'll write about that we did it. So
Yeah.
that's the museum's where Martin's going to do his talk. Actually, that's if he gets here.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we're all about artists supporting artists here. You know, that's the whole purpose of this show.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, that and supporting each other. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
That's like what you got to do, isn't it?
yeah. And we are very much big on the destigmatization of you know, abuse, chemical abuse, alcohol abuse, mental illness, any of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's good.
yeah, we do focus a lot on that. And
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we've got our bracelets here from Ayatoya. They're 988 crisis hotline bracelets.
Okay. Cool.
She gives them away free on her site. on her Bandcamp page, and she sends us some so that we can give them out when we're here. We gave out a butt ton of them at the Mechanismus Festival. This just happened.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's wonderful to have
brilliant.
somebody on that, has been touched by that and also is trying to destigmatize it and get, it should be more of a conversation.
Yeah, it is. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So do you have any words of wisdom for for some of the younger artists that are wanting to get into anything, creative?
Yeah, I think you just do it for yourself. Don't worry about what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too stubborn, maybe. I don't know. But it's just, you've got to just do your own thing. I mean, I think people worry about what they should do, and don't just jump on a trend. Just do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it'll get there. It might take longer. Probably the road may be longer, but it'll be a better road to be on.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we sign off?
Oh God, I don't know.
It's dealer's choice.
Sorry?
Dealer's choice. You got anything you want to talk about? Let's go.
I know. That's like when people say, "Tell me some funny tour stories" or something. I go blank, and then I have to just obviously get hundreds of them. So I can't think of anything to ask or talk about. But it's great to be on here. I'm trying to stall while I'm thinking. God, I don't know. I'm looking forward to coming back, and we're hopefully doing some more dates in the US as well. So
yeah,
hopefully I'll get to meet you.
Yeah, be nice.
Yeah.
so I'm looking very forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. Damn. Well,
So
if that's it, I guess we can sign off. Martin,
Yeah.
thank you
Been
so
good.
much for your time. Thank you for doing what you do. It's been an absolute honor.
It's been an honor, definitely.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough. This has been very special.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
People, you can check out Martin's studio at thecagestudios.co.uk. Also, get over to Bandcamp where you can get the new album. You will only be disappointed that you haven't heard it already. There's also a special on the complete digital discography on Bandcamp, 50% off. So you need to get up in there and get that. Kiddos, we've reached the end of another episode. Thank you all so much for joining us. As always, this show is dedicated to our friend Jason Lupo. Make some art, eat some fruit, drink some water, turn up the music and dance in your kitchen. Just please be good to each other. And also remember to give yourself a break and be good to you. Love, hugs, and belly rubs. Cheers.